What's going on, guys? I'm John. This is Bang. Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new little thermal from OneLeaf.AI, and this is the Mars Mini. So if you've been with the channel for any amount of time, you've probably seen some of my other thermal videos. I've done one on the Infitac FMP13, the little mini thermal right here. I've also done a few videos on DNT optics. This one right here is the Hydra HS335. Also did one on a 200 series model. Pretty much the same thing. This one's just a little updated, a little newer, and a little bit better sensor and all that stuff in it. But you can see a vast difference in size, and there's also a vast difference in capability between these two right here. On one end, you've got a large dedicated thermal that can be a clip-on. It's made for like a big gun, a rifle, something like that. On the other hand, you've got a very small little thermal that you can't really use as a clip-on. It can also go on a pistol if you want to go that route. But it's kind of more for like a secondary option as a thermal to go in, not inline, but along with your main optic on your gun. So in between these two styles right here, you have the Mars Mini from OneLeaf.AI. This thing is small enough to be mounted to a handgun. It comes with all kind of mounts, like this one is an RMR mount. If you want to put it on an RMR plate, you can get other mounts available like MOS, RMSC. I think the loophole footprint is available with a plate. So this one is small enough to mount on a handgun like the Infitac right here. It kind of uses the same mounting pattern. It's not exactly the same. It's just kind of the same style. It has kind of like a cage that it sits in. The mounting plate kind of sits down, and it has little ears that kind of keep it from moving side to side, front to back. And the screws come in from the side to connect it to the plate. If you can see right here, these screws go down into the plate, and then these side screws go laterally into the mount on the bottom of the thermal. So if you want to put the included Picatinny riser on here, you can mount that on the bottom. You can mount this on top of a Picatinny rail and use it as a standalone option on whatever gun you want to. Whether it's like a 22, a PCC, a little hunting rifle, 300 blackout, whatever you want to use it for, you can use this as a standalone option. And it comes with things like this. This is a little eyepiece. You got the rubber piece right here. And this is like another little kind of like a lens or magnifying type thing. Because one of the downsides of these small thermals like this is that it's just got, the LED or LCD digital screen on the back with nothing to magnify or like, bring it closer to your face. So you can't really, like get real close to it because it's going to pixel out and all that kind of stuff. So what this thing right here does, it's actually got some lenses inside of here. And when you attach it to here, you can put your eyeball to it, and it, brings that image. It makes it more like this right here. These are able to be clip-on. You can put other lenses or scopes behind it because the screen is built inside and it has, extra lenses and stuff in here. I don't know how they do all that stuff. I guess it's like magic or engineering or something, but this can go onto the back of it to where you can use it as a standalone optic like that. So with all that being said, this really is kind of the most versatile thermal optic that I know of on the market right now. Like I said, it's small enough to be used on a handgun, but it's big enough and capable enough that you can add the necessary pieces that come with it, and you can use it as a standalone optic on a rifle also. And for the size of this little thermal and what all is included in the packaging, I'm really amazed at how they crammed so much capability into such a small little item right here. Because, some of the downsides of the Infitac being so small, it's kind of limited on how many things it can do. It doesn't record locally. You can't change the lenses out on the front. You can kind of digitally zoom it by, expanding with your fingers on the back screen, kind of like an iPhone. It takes a weird type of battery that you can't recharge. And, it's just got some of those, downsides of being small and compact. But this one right here is able to have a memory card in it. It's able to have buttons on the top, as well as, you can use a screen on the back if you want to. And you can also disconnect these lenses. If I can do it right, you can take this lens out, swap it for a different one. It'll give you slightly more magnification, a bigger field of view, depending on which one you use. But the capability is there to swap the actual optic lens instead of just doing like a digital zoom like you would on a small one like this. Now, some of the things this thing comes with, like I said, the mounting plate for a pistol. I've got the quick disconnect Picatinny riser on here because I had it mounted on top of a little AR-22. Like I said, it comes with two different lenses. The back piece right here to screw into the back with the little eye cup to keep the glare down off your face, which is another kind of downside of this exposed lens right here. You get a lot of backlight onto your face. It also comes with a little back ring that screws onto the back around the lens, which it's got threads to accept this. I'd keep it on here normally, even if I'm not using this, just to kind of stand off as a standoff to kind of protect that back lens. Because without it, the lens to me seems really exposed. The glass on it is right up to the back edge of it. There's nothing really there to kind of protect it from impact or scratching and stuff like that. Another really cool thing that this has built in is a rangefinder on the side right here. So even with this small little package, it has the built-in ability to range things. You can just cut it on easily with the button on the top. It has the little square that pops up. That's kind of like your aiming reticle or whatever for the rangefinder. Whatever you want to range, put it in that little square, and it'll use the laser, bounce it back and forth, do its magic, and tell you about how far away it is. And the detection range listed in the manual is up to 800 meters. It can kind of, depending on what lens you have, obviously, because of the zoom and all that, it's about 10 yards to 800, or 10 meters to 800 meters. So it can go a pretty good ways. I have tried it really far distances and it wasn't able to read. We're talking like 1,000, 2,000 meters, across a lake, stuff like that. Wasn't able to read, but with an optic this small, I mean, who's trying to shoot a thermal object from that far away with this thing anyway? Another cool feature that the Mars Mini has that you can argue is necessary or not, is the ability to change the scenes. You can have different colors, like most of them do, red hot, white hot, black hot. But this also has scenes like forest, rain, city, and it really just kind of changes the color scheme of the image. I don't really know which one would be better for which. I guess if you're in the forest, you can use the forest or whatever, but it's probably just personal preference on how you want the image to look while you're looking through it, or how you want the video to come out after you record it and get it off of the unit itself. And while we're on the topic of video storage, you can put a micro SD in the side right here. I think it says it goes up to 256 gigabytes of storage right there. So if you've got a larger one, you can definitely put that in there and get a little bit more storage, which is one thing the little FMP13 cannot do. I think there's just so small that there's not enough room to put a card slot and be able to do that. So this one is a little bit bigger. They were able to put a card slot in here so you can record locally on the unit, which is great. You can take the card out to put it on your computer, get them off that way. There is also a USB-C port on here so you can transfer them that way, which is also the way you charge this, which is another benefit to me, or for most people. It comes with rechargeable batteries. You don't have to buy weird batteries and keep swapping them out, every 3 or 4 hours after you burn them up, which the battery time on these is 3 hours, what's listed. So once you get one of these used up, just plug it in and recharge them. You don't have to worry about keeping a bunch of weird, non-standard size batteries on hand. It also comes with a bunch of little Allen wrenches and some extra screws and a bunch of extra O-rings. So it's kind of like a maintenance kit. If the O-ring goes out or you lose a screw, you've got some more things right here. You've also got all the tools that you need to take these little parts off, to take the mounts off and get it all kind of situated however you want it. It's all included in the package. Another cool thing they offer are these heated targets for zeroing. They're pretty much just like a little hot pack. You open them up, they get warm, you put them on the target. That way you can see with your thermal, because if you look at a regular target with thermal, it's just going to be like the same color. You're probably not going to be able to find the little center part center part that you're wanting to aim at. So little trick, use these heated target pads, stick that on there, and you'll be able to, you know, see it because it'll stand out against the rest of it. So as you've seen, it really does fit kind of a role in between a micro thermal like this and a full-size standalone thermal like the DNT. It kind of fits right down the middle. A lot of things that this is limited to being able to do, this one somehow has been able to add them with maybe a little bit of extra size and a little bit of extra weight built on. They were able to add a few more valuable features, but it's not so big and heavy that it's, you know, this right here. This has way more capability than the Mars Mini, but at the cost of the size and weight. You know, it's noticeably bigger, noticeably heavier, and that's the cost you pay to get more capability. One downside that I haven't mentioned yet on this one is I was not able to really get it to work very well as a clip-on in front of another optic. I used it with the standard screen, which, you know, like the problem you have with this one, the optic on the back just doesn't, you know, even if you got like an LPVO or a low power magnified optic, it just doesn't work very well with only the screen right here. These optics, or these thermals like this, have extra lenses in here that kind of work with the optic behind it to allow you to use it as a clip-on. You can look all the way through all of it, through the optic onto the screen, and it works. Even with putting this on the back, the eyepiece, which has extra lenses in there, I wasn't really able to get it to work as good as I would hope it would. Not nearly as good as it was as it works as a clip-on like the DNT Hydra. You know, this thing right here works great, especially with like an LPVO. That might be like the one thing that I like LPVOs for, is to use on a thermal, because this has built-in magnification. So when you pair it with the 1X on a thermal, you're still kind of low. You know, if you put a 4 power on here, then whatever magnification is already built in, you're just, you know, multiplying it and all that stuff. But anyway, getting back on topic, I wasn't really able to make this work as a clip-on. So that's one kind of significant downside to this one. But all in all, I really like it. I think it has a lot of features built into such a small package, like the rangefinder, the ability to swap lenses to get different fields of view, different magnification levels. It has way more digital zoom than this little small one right here. It has exposed buttons. It has rechargeable batteries. It has a memory card slot built in so you can record locally to the thermal. It has all kind of other things in the package, so you know, you really don't have to buy a whole lot extra. When you get this, all the things that it comes with, you know, you're ready from the get-go to just get it out and use it however you wish to use it. I personally think this is best suited as a standalone thermal on top of a dedicated rifle for that. I'm not a big fan of the pistol thermals. I just don't think they work as good as people think they are. Because you're looking at a screen, you're not looking through the optic, and you're not target focused when you're shooting, you know, both eyes open, whether it's a pistol or carbine, whatever, with a red dot. You want to be target focused. You want to have both eyes open and basically have the optic disappear and just have the reticle floating almost. Can't do that with these because it's not a clear, you know, an active, you can't actively look through it. You're looking at a screen on the back. And to go along with that, this one is a little bit heavier than this. It's like just shy of 8 ounces. So probably, it says 0.4 pounds. You do a little math, like 6 or 7 ounces. That's a lot of weight to be bolting onto the slide of a handgun. So to me, I just don't think handgun thermals like this, or even this one, are ideal. However, if you want a dedicated thermal to put on top of a carbine, and you don't want something this large or this heavy, this would be a great option for that. Like I said, with the added eyepiece, it works great as a standalone thermal. It has a little bit of magnification, but it is also small enough that it can be used as a kind of a secondary optic or secondary thermal alongside your main optic, whether it's an LPVO, MPVO, red dot, whatever. So you really get like the small form factor and the ability to use it as a secondary option like this one, but it's not so heavy and big and bulky like this if you want to use it as a standalone. Those are my opinions. I'm not telling you which way to use it. You're going to have to figure that out for yourself. I'm just showing you what it is, what it has, and kind of the ways that I think it works better than others. So if you're interested in thermals and you're looking for a small package that has a lot of versatility, go ahead and check out the Mars Mini from OneLeaf.AI.